Let's talk about Nigeria's recently issued Eurobonds. The 2.35 billion Eurobonds were priced on November the 5th, oversubscribed about 400%. Now, in a shaky global market, this is a huge win for the economy. However, the 2025 borrowing means that Nigeria's global debt stands about 153 trillion, which is about 50% of our GDP. Now, the question is this a savvy cash grab for growth or a ticking time bomb for the Naira? So Nigeria returned to the international market after 1 year hiatus, issuing 10-year and 20-year notes at yields of 8.6% and 9.1%, respectively. Over 150 investors from Europe, Asia, Middle East all piled in for the debt. Why? Tinubu's reforms appear to be gaining traction. Naira is steadier post-float, inflation dipping towards 18%. Oil prices about $70 per barrel. Our FS reserves nearly about $45 billion. Crude oil output appears to be increasing as well. Even though risks remain like volatility, security issues, but the truth of the matter is that the success of the bond issue means that there is growing confidence in the Nigerian economy. The $2.25 billion is part of a $2.85 billion external borrowing that was recently approved by the Nigerian Senate. There's also a 1.15 trillion naira that was part of this approval. And the plan here is to use that to build infrastructure like railway, highways, roads, power grids, all to support the diversification effort of the government. Now, what is the goal? The goal is to shift the dependence from oil revenue to non-oil revenue. However, tax collection to GDP still remains low at about 10%, which is lower than other economies in the sub-region. South Africa does about 20% tax collection to GDP. Now, the challenge or the question is this sustainable? With the recent borrowing, our debt profile had increased by 20% from last year. Debt service costs now eating about 40% of our revenue, outpacing our budget for health and education. At about 50% of our GDP, which is where our debt stands now, we are shy of IMF's distress level of 55 to 60%. Our debt service cost might hit 10 trillion naira next year. But there are upsides. If the funds are deployed in a manner they are planned, or they could mean huge wins for the economy. We could have more infrastructure, cheaper fuel, stable naira, more foreign direct investments coming in. However, should oil prices drop, our debt service costs could balloon by about 20 to 30%, adding more volatility to the Nigerian economy. Right. There you have it. Thanks for listening.